Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. Minor Prophets. By JND Darby. Zechariah. Chapter 4. The Golden Candlestick. After this Zechariah is, as it were, awakened by God to see all the perfect order of that which he was going to establish. Here also the present grace furnishes the occasion for the revelation of the ulterior purposes of God. The prophet sees the vessel of the light of God on earth ordained in all its perfection. The candlestick was one, but it had 7 branches. It was unity in the perfection of spiritual coordination, perfect unity, perfect development in that unity. Each thing was in its place as a means, and the 2 sources of spiritual grace which fed the light were placed one on each side to sustain the light that shone before Jehovah. These are, as it appears to me, the royalty and the priesthood of Christ, which maintain, by power and spiritual grace, the perfect light of divine order among the Jews. The work was divine, the pipes were of gold. The thing ministered was the grace of the Spirit, the oil which fed the testimony, maintained in this perfect order. But the Spirit first places Israel, at the moment of the prophecy, in a very definite position. It was not yet the time for the exercise of outward power, or for Jehovah to put forth his might and establish his glory and his worship among his people. It was his Spirit acting in the remnant of Israel, if they would hearken, to bring them into relationship with God morally, and in a worship that he would accept, if, imperfect as it must needs be, since the nation was not re-established by the power of God, but remained still in bondage, this worship was rendered to God in spirit and in truth, according to that which he bestowed on the people. And at the same time, outward providence was exercised to accomplish all that was necessary for the maintenance of the relationship with God, and that God's grace had established for Israel, after their fall and their deliverance from Babylon by the providential interposition of God. The 7 eyes which ran to and fro throughout the earth should see with joy the house in which the restored remnant would be in a relationship with God, completed by the hands of Zerubbabel. This clearly defines the position of the people and the 2 orders of things set before us in this prophecy. The present condition was that of relationship with God, established in sovereignty by his Spirit, through which he could accept their worship. His Spirit is in the midst of the restored remnant, and providential power being in exercise to secure blessing, but no immediate government on God's part. The government was left in the hands of the Gentiles. That which was prophetically in view, was the perfect order established in Jerusalem as the vessel of divine light on earth, maintained by the ministry of the 2 sons of oil, the royalty and the priesthood, which stood before the Lord of the whole earth. The God of Israel had his throne at Jerusalem. The God of heaven had bestowed the dominion of the whole earth on the head of the Gentiles. Now the Lord, note, of the whole earth, would establish earthly order, according to his will, at Jerusalem, and would maintain divine light by a royal priesthood in his presence. Note. Add-on. Zechariah 4 verse 14, and 6 verse 5, end of note.